Hughes, and I'm the women's basketball coach at Salve Regina. If you're watching this, it's probably because you saw my lecture, or you and I had a discussion about how you can improve ball game. This video is simply an opportunity for me to demonstrate the drills that I think that people should do to try to improve their ball handling throughout their whole career. I'm going to give you a little bit of advice about working out as far as being a better player, and that is you should be working out if you're serious about wanting to become a better player 5 days a week for an hour, 45 minutes to an hour on your own. My advice is to always start out with a little bit of obviously stretching, some pivoting drills, which I'm going to do real quick because I always start all of my workouts with about 30 seconds of pivoting, and then about 15 or 10 minutes of ball handling stationary. Please remember that ball handling is not dribbling, okay? Dribbling is one aspect of ball handling. So if you're somebody that's a center or a power forward and you think, oh, I don't really need to work on my ball handling at any time you have the ball in your hand. So doing ball handling regardless of what position you play is really vitally important. It's also a really good way to warm up before you start your workout. So if you do, a couple seconds of some pivoting, and then about 10 minutes of ball handling where you're really trying to work up sweat and not stop in between, just keep going at it, it's a really good way to start your workout. And again, if you're working out for more than like an hour on your own, you're not really working. You're probably doing a lot of standing around. So take 45 minutes to an hour and really work for 45 minutes to an hour, and then be done for the day. So the first thing I want to talk about is pivoting, just really quickly, because I don't think people work on the footwork. You need to be able to pivot both directions. So when you're doing the pivoting drill, find a box or create a box on the floor. I don't have a box right in front of me, I'm in the center circle, but typically I would be in the paint. And I would go from the block to the free throw line to the free throw line, okay? But when you're doing your pivoting drill, this is my box. All I'm doing is jogging, jump stopping, and staying balanced, and my weight is on the balls of my feet, and my hands are up. This is a front pivot. All I'm doing in practice, see how I'm staying balanced over time? Boom, done with that front pivot. Go the opposite way. These are all front pivots. Now I do my back pivot. It's the same thing. Jump stop, pivot. Jump stop, pivot. Make your box bigger. You want to get like a little bit of a sprint. And just working on, these are all back pivots. Working on staying balanced. And then you do the back pivot in the opposite direction. So I go this way, and I do my back pivot. Once you do all of your pivoting, that's when you start doing your ball handling routine. 3 things you need to think about when you're doing your ball handling, okay? Number 1, you are an athlete. You're not a man, you're not a woman. You step on the floor, you're an athlete, okay? You can't worry about what you look like. You can't worry about making mistakes. You come out, you work. If you're not making mistakes, if I don't make mistakes today, I'm not working very hard. You can't worry about that. And I used to very much worry about people seeing me make mistakes. Never be great. You will never be great if you do that. You have to let it go, okay? So you make your mistakes, you just continue on. Great players make mistakes all the time. Nobody notices because they continue to play, okay? So when you step in, you're an athlete. Athletes don't stand the way I'm standing. Athletes are like this. This is an athletic stance. Whenever I'm doing my ball handling, I'm going to try to do the best I can to stay in this position. This is not a comfortable position. This is not natural. People don't walk around like this, right? So if I want to be in a ready position, and I want to be explosive, and I want to be able to run and jump, I want to be able to stay in that ready position as much as possible, because I can't run and I can't jump if I am up straight. And An athletic stance is your feet are shoulder width apart. Okay? Your hips are over your heels. What does that mean? Hips over heels. Not like this. Now my hips are right over the middle of my leg. This is not an athletic stance. My hips are too far forward. That means that all of my weight is going forward and I'm off balance. Okay? My hips are over my heels. My knees are over my toes. My shoulders are over my knees. If ever when I'm doing something and I'm working out, I start to notice that I'm doing this. This is off balance. This is a tired athlete. Okay? You won't want to do that. You'll be doing drills that will force you to come forward. Just try to correct yourself. One of the things I say to young athletes that are trying to get better is that you're your best coach. Nobody else is with you every time you work out. So if you can correct yourself, if you can find the things that you're doing wrong and be attentive enough to say, oh, I'm doing that wrong, and fix it, you're going to be your best coach. So if you see that you're starting to do this, I will do it as well. I got to fix it and get myself more upright a little bit and get those shoulders even with my knees. Also, as far as being balanced is concerned, make sure that your weight is on the balls of your feet. You don't want to be up on your toes. People always say, get up on your toes, get up on your toes. And that's not what they mean. There shouldn't be space underneath your heel. I should never be in this position because now I'm too front heavy. I want my feet to be flat on the ground, but I want my weight shifted forward. This is an athletic stance. If I was playing defense, my feet would be a little bit wider because I make a lot more lateral movement. And my hands would be out to make myself look bigger than I am. And so I can flex with my hands, see how my palms are up. When I'm playing offense, because I'm doing a lot more of this movement and not this movement so much, my feet are about as wide as my shoulders. We talk about being an athlete, and that's the first thing you want to think about when you come in and you work out, try to stay in that stance. But when you have the ball in your hand, you really want to think about triple threat. Do not take the ball, and coaches have different philosophies. If your coach is telling you to do something with the ball, I certainly don't want to tell you don't do that. But I'm telling you from my experience, you don't want to take the ball, receive a pass, and put it on your hip. And I see this all the time when I'm working with young players. They'll say, get triple threat, and I'll do this. What can I do from this position? That's it. All I can do is dribble quickly. I can bring the ball up and then pass it or shoot it. But by putting the ball in my hand, I'm really kind of showing my hand, so to speak, to the defender. I'm letting them know that what I really want to do is probably dribble the ball. And a good defender will take their hand and put it right here so you can't bring the ball up. Now you're forced to dribble and you take away one of your weapons. So whenever you receive the ball, I say put it in your pocket. Not here, but here. Your shooting pocket. Place between your hip and your chest, kind of close to your body. Put it up the center of this. This is where you want to get the ball. From this position, I can dribble right away if I need to. I can bring the ball up just a little bit and be ready to shoot, and I can pass. I want to have it right here. See how my hands are? My strong hand is in front of the ball. My weak hand, or improving hand, is on the side of the ball. My fingers are kind of making the T, my thumbs. That's how I want to hold the ball. I don't want to be in this position when I receive, because I'm not going to shoot like that. I might pass like that, but I can also pass like this by just turning my hands and having two hands on the ball. So I really want to get my hands and get in that good habit of making the T, having my strong hand on one side of the ball, and having my improving hand on the other side of the ball. This is triple threat. And so when I'm working out and I get tired and I take a break, I will freeze and get in the triple threat and check myself, and then I'll stretch out and I'll go to the next drill. As you're doing these and you get better at them, you don't want to stop. There should be no time really, once you get good at these, that you're stopping and getting into triple threat. You should be able to just go from one to the other, one to the other. And you want to, because you want to get your heart rate up. Just from standing still. So we have the athletic stance as far as being a triple threat. That was the first thing. The second thing is my eyes. In these drills, I'll be looking at the camera a lot. But if I was by myself, I would be standing either at half court if I had a full court to work with, half court looking at the opposite rim, or the opposite free throw line looking at the opposite rim. People tell you not to look at the ball, and that's sound advice. Don't look at the the ball when you're dribbling the ball. Don't look at the ball. Don't look at the ball. Let's say it over and over again. I'm going to say, let's take that up a notch and get your head up. I'll see players, they can dribble, they can do all these things, and they're not looking at the ball, but they are looking down. And when you're looking down, you don't see the floor. You can become a much better passer by simply training yourself to keep your head up and look at the rim. I like to look at the rim because in a game situation, if I get the ball, every time I get the ball, if I look at the rim, I automatically see the whole floor. I'll see everybody on the floor unless they're behind me. So that will make me a better passer. It'll help me see open lanes for me to dribble through or pass through. Automatically become a better playmaker by keeping my head up. So I want to be that athlete, and be in that triple threat position. And I also want my head up and eyes up. So everything I'm doing, I'm really trying to keep my eyes up and head up. I'll be looking at the camera a little bit, but I'm really going to try to look up as much as I can. So that's 1 and 2. And then that third one that you really need to think about is keeping the ball off your palm. Okay? You don't have somebody put the ball in your hand. Okay? The ball is not placed in your hand. You're holding the ball. I hold the ball when I dribble it. I hold the ball when I pass it. I hold the ball when I shoot it. And I always say that if I played an entire basketball game and just before the game I took my hands and I put it in the wet paint. When the game is over, there should not be one palm print on the ball. Everything I do, shooting, passing, catching, rebounding, dribbling, it's all done with my finger pad. It's not on my fingertips because I have no control over it's on my fingertips. It's not on my palm because it's very hard for me to have any follow through or touch. So I'm constantly checking myself to make sure that that ball is not touching my palm. The very first drill that we're going to do, the warm-up, is called slaps, taps, and wraps. When I do the slaps, even though I'm slapping the ball, I'm not slapping the ball with my palm. I'm slapping it with my finger pad. So my first warm-up drill is called slaps, then taps, then wraps. The slaps is this, as hard as I can. I want to hurt my fingers, trying to make my hands stronger. Especially if you're little like me. Having really strong hands. I mean, I'm 5'1½". I weigh less than 100 pounds. Okay? It's very important for somebody like me at my size to not have people just grab the ball out of my hands. I can almost palm the ball. And that's because of my hand strength. So you really want to make sure that you get your hands strong. That, fingertip push-ups, all of the ball hand drills we do will really help with your finger strength and your hand strength. So this is slaps, taps. Elbows are straight. Again, my athletic stance, my eyes are up, and I'm just going back and forth. Bring it all down. Up. Back out. I'm doing this, just trying to get into a control situation where I feel like I'm control the ball, even though it's not really in my hand. Slaps, taps, wraps. Wraps start around your head. As fast as you can go. Then I change direction. And I go around my waist. And then I change direction. And then I go around my knees. And even though my feet are together, I'm still trying to be balanced and I'm still trying to keep my head up. And it's harder to do it this way. And then I change direction. And I go as fast as I can go. See how I drop it? It doesn't matter. I just keep going. Now, why am I changing direction? Because even though I'm not dribbling, I'm using both hands. When I do this, my right hand is doing the majority of the work. You'll notice when you're going around your waist, one way will feel really natural, and the other way will feel harder. It'll be a lot harder for you to do. Look at it's my left hand. So whenever I'm doing stationary ball hand drills, even if I'm not dribbling, always go both ways. I personally used to go twice as long with when I was hard. Okay? So if you feel like, oh, that's hard, you want to do that twice as long. Pretty soon you won't notice the difference so much. So we just did slaps, taps, and wraps. Now we're going to do something called mummy wrap. Again, our feet are closer together than you would normally be as an athlete. And I just go around my head, around my waist, my knees, my waist. head, waist, head. And I want to change direction. Go the other way around. That's mummy round. Okay? We've done that. Now we're going to do something called 11. 11 is when I have both my feet together. And typically I would go in the order that's difficult. Because my feet are already together, I'm going to go to this because it's a together, feet together drill. So I'm going to turn. I'm going to do two separate moves. The first move is my feet. One back, reset. Other back, reset. This is what my feet are doing. The ball is going around my legs. See the circle? The circle stays the same. My hands are doing the same thing the whole time. My feet. Okay, that's 11. Now we're going to go to wrapping around our leg. Put your feet a little bit wider than you normally would be. Start with your right leg. It doesn't matter which one, but I always start right because I have my hand. And I go round leg. Change direction. Round leg. Now, figure eights. That's this. Around, hand. And I don't want to rock too much. I was rocking a lot then because I was showing you. You really want to try to stay centered as much as you can and not rock too much because you want to keep balanced. Then you change direction. Figure eights. This is called ball drops. You're going to have one hand in front of your body and one hand behind your body. The ball is going to be between your legs. You're going to drop the ball and then switch your hands so they're opposite. At first, you might not be able to catch the ball before it hits the ground. Let it bounce and catch it off the bounce. So if I'm new at it, I might be doing this. See how my head is up? I'm not looking at the ball. Keeping my eyes up. This is what I want to do. That's a quickness drill. But if you can't do it right away, let it go. Catch it. That's ball drops. That's alternating ball drops. One hand in front, one hand behind. Alternating ball drops, and then front and back ball drops. Two in front, this one's harder. Two in front, two behind. Two in front, two behind. Okay, and again, make another hit. No, not fast enough to do it yet. Now I've gotten those all out of the way. I start to move a little bit more, even though I'm staying stationary, not really moving around. One of the things I like about all these drills, no excuses. You don't need a court. You need space. That's it. In the beginning, you don't even need a basketball. You could do any of these with a volleyball, with a soccer ball. So for me, I just tried to get rid of excuses why I couldn't do it. I made it as simple as possible. Find space, get a ball, pretty easy. This one is called high knees or running in place. This is high knees on your sheet. Put the ball in one hand. Go under your opposite leg. Then you switch. But you're not just doing this. I want you to really get your knees up and jog. So you're doing this. This is high knees. Okay? Next one we're going to do is called Grapevine. You're going to hold the ball like this. See how I have my hands crossed? I have a top hand and a bottom hand. Bottom, top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let go with my bottom hand, and I'm going to quickly go on top of the ball and grab it. Watch this. All right? I'm going to show you it quickly, but I am going to show you first how I learned how to do it. The people that taught this to me were 13 years old. They were twins, a boy and a girl. And they watched my lecture, and they said, hey, we love your drills. Can you do this? And my mouth got hit the floor. It took me about 2 weeks to do it. And I was older. I mean, I had been playing basketball for a long, long time. Some drills will be really easy for you. they might be hard for somebody else and you'll just get it. Other ones you'll just try and try and try and you'll have a really hard time with it. And then one day you'll get it and it just is easy and you're like, why couldn't you do that before? This is one of those drills. Don't overthink it. The same with the 11 drill, people have a hard time with that because they think too much. Just react, okay? So this is called Grapevine. And how I learned how to do it was I put the ball between my legs. So I can practice my hands. So my hands are on the outside of the ball and I cross over and grab. Cross over and grab. So this is what my hands are doing. Then I put the ball up in front of my body like this. I want to make sure that my knees are flexed, my eyes are up still. In the beginning, you'll have a hard time doing that. You're just going to be trying to do it. But once you can do it, fix all those things. Fix the way you stand. Make sure that you're not watching the ball. Okay? And then I let go. This is called Grapevine. And I'm not pounding the ball. I can't pound the ball. You don't want to pound the ball. A lot of bigger guys will grab it and hold it. That kind of defeats the purpose. It's a quickness drill. So you can just hold the ball up. You don't have to be very quick. So really work on, notice that I kind of toss it, really work on trying to be quick. But notice how I kind of toss it too. And give myself a little bit of time by tossing it just a little bit. And get my hand in there. This is called Grapevine. Okay? Now, we've done most of the stationary ball handling drills, but haven't done any dribbling. So when I'm doing this on my own, once I get to that point, this is when I'm going to start to dribble. We talked about the 3 things that we wanted to work on, about being an athlete, keeping our eyes up, keeping the ball off our palm. Now we want to add another layer to this, and that is protecting the ball. Once you start to dribble the ball, it becomes dangerous. It's harder to protect because it's out of your hands. You have to learn how to protect the ball. Now, if the camera was a defender, I don't really have to protect the ball right now. The camera's too far away to steal it. So I can dribble away and flip my mind. I can flip right out of this. The camera cannot take the ball. But the closer I get to the camera, now I can't just be square to the camera. Square is with my feet, my hips, and my shoulders are all facing the target. So if I'm square to something, it's very difficult for me to protect the ball. Whenever I shoot, I want to make sure that I'm square to the basket. It's vitally important. And I notice a lot of people, and this is kind of an aside, but I notice a lot of people shoot with their feet like this. The camera was the goal, the basket. And my feet are like this when I shoot. I'm going to pull my hips that way. They automatically want to turn. And when my hips want to turn, so does my shoulder. And if my shoulder wants to turn, so does my follow through. And you'll find that good shooters, they can shoot like this and they can make it, but once they start to get tired, the ball will start to be turning, hooking as they shoot, and they'll miss a lot to the side that their feet are facing. So you really want to be focused when you're doing your shooting and other things on making sure everything's square. I had that problem because I was small and I was having a hard time taking 3-point shots without jumping on the line. So what I do, I start turning my feet. Well, now I'm pulling my body and I'm missing the shot. Instead of 2 points, I'm not getting anything. You know, I'm not making a 3, I'm not getting 2. So I want to make sure that I work on strength and doing it right, so I'm not turning my feet. So I would shoot and then I would see where I land. I used to do it all the time to see if I was landing, still facing my target. And that's a good way to fix that. Just keep fixing it. It takes a long time to fix your shot. You're doing things like that. Just keep doing it, keep doing it. Be your best coach by finding out when you're doing it, by looking at yourself and adjusting. So we were talking about protecting the ball, and I was talking about being square. Well, if I'm square to a defender, like I am to the camera right now, and I'm dribbling the ball, I'm exposing it. The camera can steal it. So as I approach a defender, or a defender approaches me, I have to change things. I can't be square anymore. Space is not protecting the ball. So I have to turn my body. Now, I don't want to turn my body so much that you can read the name on the back of my jersey, okay? If I'm turning my back that much, that is telling everybody that I'm afraid. It's telling everybody that I have no confidence. I don't think I can handle the ball against pressure, so I'm going to turn my body to protect it. If you are a defender and you see a player that turns their back a lot, be all over them all game because they can't handle the ball. If you're a ball handler that turns their back, you've got to figure out how to protect the ball because they're going to eat you up. So As I approach my defender, I start to turn my body and I make myself big. I'm small this way. This is how small I am. Look how big I get. Yeah. Look how big I am. That's by making a wider base. So I want to turn and make the widest part of me become a buffer between the defender and the ball. I'm doing this. And look what else I did. I lower down. Okay? I come up, I'm dribbling the ball. I don't want to dribble up like this. I never get up for it. But as I'm coming up to pressure, I'm dribbling, now I drop. And I drop down, and the ball drops down. You want to dribble below your waist, even sometimes below your knee, depending on what you're doing with the ball, as you approach defenders. When you're coming down the court, you can bring the ball way up here, and it's not a big deal because there's nobody that's going to steal it. As long as you can protect it, you really want to push that ball out. Once there's a defender there, you're protecting the ball with your body, you're protecting the ball by bringing it lower, and then you're protecting the ball with your hand. And I put my hand where the ball is. So if I'm dribbling up to here, this is where I protect. My thumb is down, my hands are up and big, and I'm between the camera and the basketball. And if I dribble low, that's where my hand goes. If I dribble high, that's where my hand goes. This is protecting the ball. So even though we still want to be an athlete, triple threat, we still want to keep our eyes up, we want to keep the ball for palm, now we really have to think about protecting the ball. When you're doing this, okay, you're working on your dribbling, stationary dribbling, the best thing you can do for yourself is have a good imagination. You have to imagine a defender. When you're dribbling, you have to imagine there's somebody standing right in front of you, and they want to take the ball. If you can't imagine that, you're going to put the ball in harm's way while you're practicing, meaning you're going to expose it because you're going to be dribbling in places where a defender would take it. Now you're reinforcing negative behavior. You have to imagine, just like I'm going to imagine when I do these drills, that the camera is a defender, and that the camera is close enough that they can take the ball. So everything that I'm doing, I'm going to be trying to protect the ball from the camera, okay? So the first thing you want to do is just do stationary control dribble. And we'll start with my right hand because I'm right-handed. I talk about pivoting back. If I was teaching somebody how to do this, like I'm trying to teach you, I'd start with you with a triple threat, put your strong hand, and then pivot back. And then control dribble. Nice and easy. Just as long as you keep to feel comfortable. Not really put on that ball. Then I would square up. And I'd relax. Square up. And I would do a crossover. Now when I do a crossover, there's two kinds of dribbles. There's all sorts of moves. I could name 16 moves, okay? But there's only two kinds of dribbles. There's change of pace dribbles, where you go slower, faster, and there's change of direction dribbles. I'm going this way, and now I'm going this way. Crossovers, and all of the little moves that live in crossovers land, they're all change of direction dribbles. I'm going this way, now I'm going this way, okay? And whenever I cross over, I better be going someplace. Because anytime I cross over, I'm showing the defender the ball. Because I'm going in front of my body. Now there are different ways that you can protect the ball when you cross over, okay? I can use my hand, cross over, but look how low I go. Look how low when I release the ball, it's actually below my knee. Those guys in the NBA, you see they're dribbling out here, but when they make their move, they drop their hand out and then they push the ball. And the ball, when it's actually released from their hand, goes under their knee and then comes up. That's how they keep those defenders from grabbing the ball from them, because they release the ball so low and push it through so hard, the ball comes far away from the defender's hands up. This is a crossover, right? So is this. So is this. So is that. They're all crossovers, okay? They're all crossovers using different parts of your body to protect the ball. And the more comfortable you are, the less of those moves you need. People that have a great crossover don't have to do those moves. I could probably count on both hands the number of times I ever did a behind the back dribble in a game in college. And I played for 4 years. So if you have a good crossover, you don't have to do a lot of those moves. And that's actually a good thing because you're a lot faster if you don't have to turn that way. So my advice is really work on that crossover. And a good way to do it is to be square to your defender. And in this drill, we're not worried as much about protecting the ball as we are about keeping the ball below our knees. We we release and we push through. And this is what we're doing with our hands. So we're going back, and I'm not rocking too much. I don't want you to do this. Okay, off balance. I want you to stay. See how low the ball is? This is how I practice across. Now I combine those things. That's a bad one. Get low. Okay? When you do that drill, again, if I was working on my own, I wouldn't be stopping in between doing anything. I would be doing this drill, this drill, this drill, and then the combination drill. Then I would go right to the next one. Okay? The next one we're going to do is called yo-yo. Again, I take the ball away from the defense, and I'm just going to dribble back and forth from knee to knee with one hand. So I'm doing this with my body. This is good for hesitation dribbles, which is a change of pace. Change of pace, I'm going one speed, then I stop, and then I go. When I do those kind of drills, those kind of moves, I do this with the ball. So I can keep my dribble alive and not go anyplace. Try to draw that defender to me and then explode and go by them. This is yoga. Back, forth, back, forth. Just like that. And then I'll cross over, do my left hand. That's protecting, my eyes are up, back and forth, back and forth. Then I would square up, and I would make sure that I'm low again, and I still protect the ball, and I'm going to beat the knee this way. And my hand's doing a different thing. On the side, my hand was doing this. In front, my hand's on top of the ball, and it's doing this. So you want to do both drills, because you're working on two separate things. This, and this. See how my hand's still out? I still protect the ball. I'm going knee to knee with one hand. Same thing, left hand. Protect the ball. Now we're going to do high-low. High-low, I'm going to start with the ball higher than I normally would have it. I'm going to dribble all the way up to my shoulder. Just so I can keep control in case I lose control of the ball. Sometimes on fast breaks when you're really trying to get down the floor, the ball will come up on you. And then I'm going to go as low as I can go. So I'll start with my strong hand again, in a flex position of an athlete, and I go high. And I go low. And I keep my dribble alive. Bring it back up. And low. Cross over. Low. High. You do as many as you need to do to feel comfortable and get one up. Okay? Now we're going to do figure eight dribbles. Okay? Again, I'm going to be protecting the ball. My feet are going to be stationary. So my feet are a little bit wider than they normally would be because I'm going to be dribbling between my legs. My eyes are up. And the first ones you're going to do are little dribbles, low. So you'll see on the sheet that I shared with you if you were at my lecture. It'll say figure eights low, figure eights high. Figure eights low are this. As many dribbles as I can do, as low as I can go. You see how my eyes are up and I'm still protecting the ball and I'm trying to stay balanced? You might not be able to do that right away. This is the ball, and then you want to go the other direction. It's targeted ball, always. Always hard the other way, no matter what. Okay, that's low. High is this. See how I'm doing as free as I can? If you get good at it, you might not even need that extra one through, but you don't want to carry the ball too much. So I say use the extra dribble so you don't get a bad habit of carrying the ball. And that would be one way, and then another way would be this. So big dribbles, okay? That is figure eights. Now we're going to do behind the back. So I'll turn like this. I'm an athlete. I'm still bent. I take the ball, I put it behind my back, and I just go back. Heels too much, okay? Try to stay on the balls with your feet because you still want to be balanced, but you will have a tendency to want to go back. You'll also probably dribble off your heel, which I do all the time, and that's why I'm in shape. I have to chase the ball over the gym. So don't worry about that. It'll take a little time. Go back and forth behind you. Pendulum is on my list, but I hardly ever do it. It's a nice way to get, there's a couple things you can do with pendulum. One of them is just getting strong and catching the ball, and I wish my players did this more because they're not very strong with their hands. You just pound the ball. Do like 20 of those a day. It really will help. And guess what? If you don't, you can just yourself in the face. So you'll get good at it pretty quickly. Pendulum is basically doing the same thing, going through your legs. I don't know why I didn't do this one more. I probably should. Obviously, I'm not doing it very well, but this is pendulum, okay? I've seen a man, and I cannot do it, that takes the ball, and he goes through his legs as hard as he can, and he catches the ball here. If you can do that, please send me the video, okay? Practice it. I can't. I can hit my hands, but I can't catch the ball, okay? If you miss, it might hurt a little bit. So you might want to, not do that one right away until you feel a little bit more confident. If you can do it, I would love if you send me the video. Okay, so that was pendulum, going through your legs like that. Now we're going to do scissors, okay? I know it's hard to believe that I've never been very big. This is as big as I have ever been. And I've had a hard time going through my legs. When I was younger, I used to lift my leg. Did you ever do that? It's so sad. Because I'd always hit myself. I'm very bad at math. But I'm starting to understand angles a lot better now that I'm older, okay? If I release the ball close to my body, if I let go when I dribble and it's close to my body, it's going to come up close to my body. So if I want to go through my legs, I can't release the ball close to my body because it's going to come up close to my body. The other thing is, if I release it high, it's going to come up high. So if I want to go through my legs, I want to bring the ball away from my body and go low. And see how it goes away from my body? This is how I practice going through my legs. I just found a line and I straddled it. I have my front foot kind of parallel on it and my back foot intersecting it. And I just went through and got good going through my legs so I didn't hit myself. Shorts help too, by the way. And then I have to practice my other, because I have to practice my left. Just do my left. And then do that. Then when I got good at that, then I would switch down. This is the beginning of scissors. Then when I got good at that, I just did one time. Then when I got good at that, that's scissors, all sorts of different ways. You build your way up. If you try and you can't do it, you don't say, oh, I can't do that. You figure out a way to do it. And that was my way, building it up. Us as players, we're like houses, okay? You don't have a good foundation, if you don't have a good basement, you can't have the nice view, okay? You have to be able to build up so you can have a beautiful bedroom with the nice French doors looking out, okay? You gotta start with the basement. This is the basement. This is the penthouse. And there's stuff in between, and you gotta be able to get there, okay? So now we've done scissors. Now we're gonna do something called spider. And when I saw spider, the guy that did it, his hands were a blur. I didn't know what he was doing. So can you please just stop and show me what you're doing? He said, put the ball between your legs, straddle it. You're gonna put one hand on the ball, the other hand on the ball, behind your leg, front, back, back, front, back, back. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's spider. Dribbling. Okay? We're going to show you the dribbling part of it. But realize this. If you move your hands and not the ball, you will be faster. What do I mean by that? You don't want to slap the ball way back and then slap the ball way front. Because then you have to chase it with your hands. The way I do it, maybe it's because I'm small and I have a hard time reaching it, I just hit the ball straight down. And I just move my hands to where the ball is. It makes it a lot easier for me to be fast. You don't have to do it really fast. I'll show it to you kind of slow. No, you're like, that's slow? Yeah, that's slow. This is okay, that's spider. Practicing that and practicing that. Okay? The next one we're going to do, we use 2 balls for. Okay? This is just balancing. I think it just says balancing on the sheet. The key is to have somebody help you usually. I've done this a lot, so I don't need anybody to help me, but you would take your ball and you would hold it like this, like an athlete. And your partner would take their basketball and place it on top and then let go. You will watch the top ball and then move the bottom ball wherever that top ball goes and try to balance it. The key is to keep that bottom ball moving and keep your eyes on the top ball, okay? This is what it looks like. Okay? I can be in an athletic stance because I want to work on my leg strength and all that. Okay? When you get good at it, and you can just balance it like this, you can do it with one hand, which is much harder, so therefore I think better for you. Okay? And then of course, you want to do it with your improving hand always. And then when you get good at that, this is the one that everybody always wants to try. You want to switch it like this. This is balancing. Okay? See if my eyes are on that top ball. Now we're going to sit down and we're going to do some one-handed dribbling sitting down. When I was a kid, my mom would let me play basketball in the house for good reasons. It broke a lot of things. But I didn't listen very well. You know what I mean? I kept doing it anyway. So I wasn't disobeying my parents, you know? Just kind of couldn't help myself, right? I just was there. So we came to an understanding. I was allowed to dribble the ball in the house if I did it sitting down. Because that way I wouldn't really break it. You know, there's like nothing down there. So that was the deal. And unlike you, I actually had to sit through commercials. So I used to sit right in front of the television. My mother would be watching Jeopardy, and I would just wait for a commercial. Then a commercial would come and I would dribble, 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 dribble. Then I would wait for a commercial. And I would do this for the whole show, really practicing my ball hand. The first one I'm going to show you is Typewriter. Typewriter is you use each individual finger to dribble. Okay? It's good for your finger strength. It's good for control too. And the fact that you're on the floor makes it a little bit more difficult. So you can put your feet together, start with your strong hand. You can do as many as you want with each finger. I used to do 10, I think. And then I switch. Sit-ups. Same premise. Start with your right hand. I used to do 10, I think, but I'll just do 3 to show you. Back. Start. Okay, this one's called drum roll. Okay? You have your feet apart like this. Ball between your hands, and you're just going to go back and forth as fast as you can. Again, hand finger strength. It's feet. Okay? This one is difficult. This one's called sitting feet. Feet are going to be like this. I'm going to dribble here, 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 and then back. But I can only use one hand. So I can only dribble once in each spot. And I can't carry the ball. Going over is pretty easy. Coming back is pretty hard. Dribbling back like this to control the ball. My advice is really dribble the ball hard, okay? I'm making it easy. Try it and be like, whoa, it's hard. And again, you want to be with both hands. Okay? The last one sitting down that I'm going to do is basically like over the head. I think it says on the sheet. It's kind of like a drum roll over your head. But you have to be able to dribble over your head first. So I'm going to turn so you can see. Basically what you're doing is you take the ball in your strong hand. I have a ponytail so I can't put my head all the way down. You can put your head all the way down. And you're just going to dribble over your head like this. And it's harder than it was. Then when you can do that, you're going to do it with your moving hand. And then when you can do that, that's the drum roll, okay? So that's over the head, and there are 3 things that you can do with that. You have to work your way up. When I was in college, I was a really good high school player. I did a lot of these drills. My coach showed me some of them. I used to watch Pistol Pete, you know. And when I used to watch Pistol Pete, You know, I couldn't just take my phone and watch the video. I had to watch it inside and then remember the drill and then run outside and practice it. And then come back in and watch the next drill and then run back outside and practice it. So it's a lot easier for you to, like, you could take your phone anywhere, you could watch this anywhere. Bring it on the court with you, which is great. But I did all of these when I was in high school. And I was on a pretty good team. You know, scored 1,000 points. I had over 500 assists. You know, the team went to the state finals, all that kind of stuff. And I ended up getting a scholarship to Boston University. Okay? And when I get there, everybody scored 1,000 points. Everybody had been to state championships. They won the states, you know. The big difference was that everybody was bigger than me. And people say to me sometimes, look, it can be a real advantage to be small. No, it can't. It's not. Being quick is an advantage. And being fast is an advantage. And people that are small often are quick and fast. But if you're not quick and fast and you're small, there's not too much you can do for anybody. So being small was not an advantage for me. And everybody was quick, everybody was fast, everybody was bigger than me, everybody was stronger than me. And I started getting really down. My coach was yelling at me. And when she yelled at me, I get nervous. And when I got nervous, I played poorly. And when I played poorly, she yelled at me. I think you can see there's a pattern developing here. And I started thinking that she didn't like me. It was personal. If you're a player that's telling yourself that your coach doesn't like you, that's why you don't play, you're lying to yourself. Just like I was. Coaches play people that can help the team. And unless you have an attitude problem, if you're one of the best players, you'll be on the floor. And I just wasn't. I wanted to be, but I wasn't. And a lot of those people, you know, I felt like didn't work as hard as I did. And I practiced so hard, I got so frustrated because I still can't beat them. Well, I have a choice. I can either quit or I can find a way to get better. So I started thinking about what can I do that other people can't. Because I had to find something that they needed. I was not going to be like the people that were starting over me. I was never going to be 5'8". I was never going to be able to grab the rim. And that was what the starting point guard could do. So when I stopped trying to be like her and I started trying to be like me, I started realizing what a great passer I was, how I was a really good outside shooter, and how defensively I really made it difficult for my opponent because I was smart. You might beat me on a move once when you were twice. So I really started thinking about that. And I started doing 2-ball drills. Almost everything you do with one, you can do with 2. So I'm going to quickly just go through some of the 2-ball drills you can do. But obviously, can't do the 1-ball drill. You're not going to be do the 2-ball drill. So don't be frustrated if you can't do these right away. Work on the 1-ball drills and then work your way up to 2. Okay? And I will say that doing those 2-ball drills, they really made a big difference for me. Because then I came from a point where I said, I can do all these things with 2 balls. 1 ball's no problem. So I go into situations and games where I felt much more confident because I knew that I had already done all these things with 2 balls. And I would do full court drills with 2 balls, you guys. So that's something you can do in the future once you get better at 2-ball drills. I would do crossovers and hesitations. I would do all sorts of moves with 2 balls up and down the floor going full speed. You know, and I got game. Having 1 ball was a joke. Okay, so 2-ball, we'll do 2 together. Control this. 2-ball alternate. Okay. 2 yoga. Alternate yoga. Yo-yo in the front. Alternating yo-yo. High low. Alternating high low. Figure 8. Sitting. Typewriter. That one's called Sit up. Sit your feet. Almost anything you do with one, you can do with two. Those of you that see my lecture, you've heard all of that before. But I will say, the one thing that you can do that's really going to make the biggest difference for you, as far as being a player, you can practice 5 times a week, you can practice 45 minutes to an hour, you can really work hard. But the biggest difference in becoming great instead of just good has to do with being able to see yourself in a real way. You have to be able to say, I'm good at this, I'm not good at this. And most players have a really hard time. I'm talking about players that really want to get better. They can't make that jump because they cannot admit that they're not good at something. Or they're afraid to work on that thing because they don't want to make a mistake. They don't want somebody to see them. I see people all the time practicing. They're working on their left hand, they're doing everything they have to do, and then somebody walks in the gym and they automatically go to something else because they don't want that person to see them and think that they're bad because they can't do something well. Who cares? Practice is a time to make mistakes. I also know players that work on their left hand all the time, and they've become pretty good at it. They don't trust themselves, so in a game they don't use their left hand. Why bother practicing with your left hand if you're not going to use it in a game? You have to be able to recognize that you're not good at something and own it. This is something I need to work on. You need to be able to practice it and not be worried about making a mistake while you're practicing it. And then you have to have the courage to do it in a game situation. Because until you do, you're never going to feel comfortable doing it, no matter how good you get at it. So that is my advice. Find those things you're not very good at. Really focus on working on them. And then implement them in scrimmages and stuff in the game where it doesn't matter as much. Then when you get to a real game, it won't matter. You'll be able to do it, you'll do it with confidence, and you'll be successful. The last thing I'll say is that if you're the person that wants to play and you're not, understand that there are 5 spots on the floor, and not everybody is going to be a starter. You've seen me dribble for a while, you've seen me do some stuff, and people always say to me, I say, do you think I'm a good player? And everybody always says, oh, yeah, you're a great player. And then I say, how many of you have ever seen me play? None of them. Because I can dribble, they assume I'm good. Unless I can apply these kind of things to game situations, I'm just somebody who can dribble the ball. So what I need to make sure that you're doing is understanding that you got to take these things and apply them, and then realize that I wasn't a starter. I sat on the bench, for a lot of my career. I also played, but I had to work to get there. I didn't just walk in and then everybody thought I was great. I sat, I was the one that was the last one to go in the game, I was the one that got the water from the coach, and then I was a captain when I was a junior. Sometimes I say, you know how I got playing time? Because I worked hard? No, I started working on broken hand. But I did the most of that, and when my coach saw what I could do, I got some playing time. You have to decide if it's worth it to you to work hard and then find your role in the team and either accept it and be a part of the team, whether it's be a starter and a superstar or it's a person that's helping the team become better by being a team player. And then you either accept it or you don't and you move on. Be the kind of teammate that you like. Work hard, pass the ball, play defense. Think about those players that you play with that just drive you crazy because they think they're all odds or they never go out that defense. Do you really want to be that person? Be the player that you like to play with. Be the player that gets picked first because you're a great team player. That's it. Thanks. Okay. Done and done.